Come on, Annie. Let's go to the movies.
This is the Cinereelists, episode 529. My name is James.
And my name is Zach.
And we're here to talk movies and movie obsession and movie lists with you for the next hour or so. Welcome to the show, Zach.
James, thank you so much for welcoming me back to the show.
You're very welcome. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing so well. It's so great to see your smiling face.
Thank you.
Every time I see you, your beard's a little bit shorter.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
I haven't cut it, so I don't know. Maybe you just have a short memory.
Maybe your head's getting bigger.
That could be too, as well, for sure.
Does your hat feel tight?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, all right, that's good.
But I'm excited to be here with you, Zach.
Yeah, I missed you last time. I wasn't here. I missed you guys.
Yeah, Zach wasn't here last week. You know who else wasn't here last week?
No.
Our guest for this week.
Wow.
Hey, guys.
The king of segues. Hi, Evily. How you doing?
Doing well. That took a turn. I wasn't expecting it to go where it did. It
No.
was a fun ride.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Sure. Yeah, so we're welcoming back our resident MCU expert, Evily.
Yay.
Evily's last appearance was in episode 378.
Was it really that
Podcast.
long ago?
Yep. This was a
Wow.
pre-pandemic appearance for Evily.
I know.
It was
It's been
April.
a long time.
April 2019. What movie did we talk about? That's the next question. Do you guys remember?
I do.
Okay.
I don't. No.
What was
No
it?
clue.
Endgame,
It was Endgame. Yep.
Oh, okay. Cool.
the
It was-
movie.
Did you like it?
You don't
Just
remember?
a bit.
No, we're
Yeah,
excited to have
just
you
a
back,
little.
Evily. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be back, and especially because the last time Zach reached out, I think was for Black Widow, and I was
Mhm.
traveling and I
Sure.
couldn't join, and I was so upset because I watched it right after my husband and I were planning to watch it that week or weekend, and I watched it and I had so much to say and I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. So I'm really
Sure.
excited to be back.
Good.
Nice.
Well, we're glad to have you.
We had a lot to say about that movie too. I don't think any of us really loved it.
I
from what
liked it.
remember. I mean, I liked it all right, but it wasn't my favorite MCU movie, that's for sure.
Okay.
But maybe Evily disagrees. I don't know. Was that your favorite MCU movie of all time, Evily?
No, it wasn't my
Okay.
favorite, but I really enjoyed it. I definitely was on the Zach side of things listening to the episode.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're not going to talk Black Widow today, although she might come up. Who knows? But we are going to talk another MCU movie. This one is titled Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, aka Doctor Strange 2, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unofficially. And before we jump into that, we need to do a little bit of housekeeping. Just to remind everyone, there's a video version of this podcast on YouTube. So go to YouTube, type Cinereelists, REEL with an S on the end. Find the podcast there on YouTube and watch while you listen. You could also support the podcast on Patreon at patreon.com/Cinereelists. You could leave us an Apple podcast review, 5 stars only. We'd appreciate that. Or you could send us an email to heyguys@cinereelists.com. Send a question, a movie suggestion, a list suggestion, any of those kinds of things. We are happy to accept via email, and we'll discuss on the show if you send us an email. So with that being said, does anybody have anything else to say before we jump into the Multiverse of Madness?
Now let's
Nope.
do it.
Let's
All
do
right.
it.
Let's do it right after this clip.
You break the rules, become a hero. I do it and I become the enemy. It doesn't seem fair.
I did what I had to do. To protect our world was the only way.
This universe is only one of an infinite number. Mr. Strange.
Who are you in this vast multiverse?
That was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, a 2000 a 2022 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics character Doctor Strange. This movie was directed by Sam Raimi, written by Michael Waldron, and stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Elizabeth Olsen, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Xochitl Gomez, and others, we'll say, for now, because there's potentially some spoilers in some of this cast. So we'll just hold it for there. The official IMDb plot synopsis for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is: Dr. Stephen Strange casts a forbidden spell that opens the door to the multiverse, including alternate versions of himself, whose threat to humanity is too great for the combined forces of Strange, Wong, and Wanda Maximoff.
That's a
That does
terrible
not feel right.
description. That's like not describing this film at all.
I mean, that is spoiler free at base. That's what this is about, right?
No, he doesn't cast an evil spell that breaks. I mean, maybe in the Spider-Man movie he does.
Yeah,
Not in this film.
I guess he doesn't technically do that in this movie, but
But was that, I have this written down as something I want to talk about eventually. Was that the original plot synopsis before the schedule got all turned around after the pandemic?
It may have been, absolutely. There were a lot of reshoots on this film.
Yes, because I think Spider-Man was supposed to happen after this movie originally. So maybe they had to pull that bit and make it happen first.
That would kind of make sense to me. I don't know. What wouldn't make sense is that they wouldn't issue a new plot synopsis.
Oops.
I don't know. It seems like of all, I mean, you work in PR. Wouldn't that be step one?
Yes, very true.
But I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. Maybe since they just didn't want to cover that part in this movie, they were like, we'll just throw something from Spider-Man in the plot synopsis, bring everybody up to speed. Who knows? We're going to talk about this movie in two parts. We're going to talk briefly, spoiler-free, our broad thoughts about the movie, and then we're going to, in record time, I imagine, jump into spoilers for this movie, because there is a lot going on and a lot that could be spoiled if you wanted to stay spoiler-free. So we're going to jump into spoiler-free zone for right now. What did you guys think of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? Why don't we start with Evily? Because I know at one point, Evily, you said Doctor Strange is your favorite MCU character, or maybe it was Benedict Cumberbatch is your favorite actor in the MCU. I don't remember. Something like that.
I thought you were a Loki fan.
Yeah, huge Loki fan. I like Benedict Cumberbatch a lot. So that was probably the comment. I was really excited that he joined the MCU. And I do like Doctor Strange. I think coming out of the first film, I was like, I really enjoyed this movie, but I don't really ever need to see it again. And I have watched it since, and it was really good the second time around, but I watched it intentionally. So it's not one that I return to. But I've liked his character in other movies, and I really liked him in Spider-Man as well. I kind of feel like I'm worried about stepping on landmines to talk about this without spoilers. Overall, it was very surprising, and I enjoyed it. Well, I didn't enjoy it more than I expected to, but after I watched it, I think if you had fully explained it to me, I might have been a little bit on the edge about how much I would enjoy it. But I really did have a good time with this film, and I think that there were some scenes that stand out to me. The one in particular that I think is one of my favorite in all of the MCU, which I'm really excited to talk about. Yeah. Sure. So I really enjoyed the movie. It is very different, I think, than anything Marvel has done yet, which makes it cool on its own.
Yeah. Spoiler chat is going to be fun because we're going to get to talk about some very specific parts of this film. I would say I went in with, maybe I had an expectation that it was going to be just crazy, like madness, like we're gonna see an unhinged kind of Marvel film. And I just recently saw Everything Everywhere All at Once, and so I had a crazy unhinged multiverse film in the back of my head. And this one was, I thought, a lot more restrained than I was expecting. So I don't know what I was expecting, but I would say there's parts of this film I enjoyed a lot. I had a ton of fun with. There were other parts that I did not enjoy. Some significant parts I didn't enjoy. I thought the main villain in this film was fantastic. I loved the acting of the main villain. I thought all that was great. Um, yeah, I had a pretty uneven relationship with this film. So I'm still debating my rating for it, but yeah, things to like and things to not like.
I was also surprised by it, and I love just about everything else in it.
Of course you
For
did.
sure. I mean,
You love Sam Raimi.
I mean, that's the thing is, I remember hearing that Sam Raimi was directing this just a mere months ago, even though I'm sure it's been announced for years at this point that he was directing it. And so when I learned that, I was kind of like, why is Sam Raimi directing a Marvel movie like this far into Marvel movies, right? Like it would kind of make sense if like when Jon Favreau was directing Marvel movies that they would get a Sam Raimi, but for quite a while now they've been getting younger filmmakers, less established filmmakers and kind of giving them the reins and um there's lots of rumors that they're easier to control than the, older more established directors and so it seemed weird that all of a sudden Sam Raimi, who made 3 Spider-Man films and a bunch of other comic book movies, is now going to direct the 28th Marvel movie, MCU Marvel movie. It didn't make any sense to me. And then I saw the movie and I was like, okay, this makes sense. And I definitely enjoyed that aspect of it. And it kind of reminds me a lot of Thor Ragnarok in that we had movies about a character, and then this one is also about a character that already has an MCU movie, but it just feels different than that first movie. Not entirely different, but a lot different. And that's probably what surprised me the most about it and what I enjoyed the most about it. I also like that uh it paid off to watch some of the television series on Disney Plus. I feel like this is the first one that does that in a very real way. Not that you couldn't have not seen any of that, but it definitely helped to have that context on some level while you watch this movie. And I thought that was cool because they never really did that with the Netflix shows. And I was curious to see if they ever really were going to commit to it with the Marvel films, like attaching the shows to the films. And I think with this one, it's very clear that they not necessarily expect you to have seen those, but if you have, you're going to get a benefit from that viewing in the films. And so I like that about it. I thought all the performances were great. It cast like a very particular Sam Raimi tone where everything is like heightened and a little cartoony, but not like
Yep.
way over the top
Mhm.
until it wants to go over the top. And then it still holds back a tiny bit, but not much for sure when things really start going. But I thought it was creative and interesting. And I want to see where they go next, wherever that is. I will say my one complaint, and we can get into this in spoilers, is that this is getting complicated. Like the whole thing, like the lead up to Endgame was like, there's this purple guy, our heroes have to go against him. He wants to balance out the world by snapping his fingers and making half the universe disappear. It was very easy to understand the stakes and who was against who and things like that. This multiverse stuff definitely complicates things, and I don't know if that's a good thing. Like just how much it's complicating things, I'm not sure. Like your average viewer, or certainly somebody who wasn't into the movies and gets dragged to one, like how much this would just absolutely not be a movie you could jump into the MCU on. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it would be enjoyable at all if you hadn't seen
Yeah,
quite a bit of the other ones, which is one
For
of the
sure.
first times I think I felt that way, other than like Endgame, which was the part 2.
right. Yeah. So yeah, overall loved it, but not perfect. Anybody else
Yeah.
got anything else to add before we jump into spoilers?
most MCU movies I see as like a lot of fun. You know, they have a great tone to them that's kind of like funny and light and like adventurous and like, you know, action and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not usually paying attention to plot holes or things that like didn't feel realistic or that kind of thing. And in this movie, I couldn't help but just constantly being like, why is this decision being made the way it's being made by these characters? Like, just a lot of it seemed like, let's get from point A to point B to point C, but like any individual decision just didn't feel necessarily motivated to me in a way that made sense. We'll talk about it in spoilers, but I don't know. This movie felt maybe more patched together than I was hoping for.
Interesting. I'm curious to know where that was.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Anything else? We'll give letterbox style star ratings, and then we'll jump into spoilers. We're gonna do a little bit of MCU trivia at the end of this episode too. So if you want to skip the spoiler section, just check the show notes, and you can skip the spoiler section and listen to the trivia, which will have no spoilers in it. So, let's jump into spoilers. This is the spoiler zone. If you don't want to hear details about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, you should stop here and come back after you've seen the movie. If you have seen the movie or you don't care about spoilers, listen on. Okay. Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah.
I mean, let's go broad spoiler. It's a horror movie, right? It's the first MCU. It's horror tinged. It's not a straight horror movie, but it definitely has elements that are inspired by horror movies.
It's horror adjacent.
Right. Yeah.
Is it though? As somebody who does not watch anything I would consider horror adjacent or even remotely scary, there was a point where my husband and I were both wimps. We're both physically covering our faces.
Yeah.
Because we're like, we can't handle the suspense. And I know that it was more suspense than actual horror, but I just have to say, if you are not used to watching anything within this realm, it is not as easy to watch as one might think.
Oh, for sure. What was that moment for you? What was that scene? Was it when they're in that locked room?
They're like in the pipe or something.
Yeah, the tunnel.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Exactly.
And they throw in a jump scare. I've never seen a jump scare before in a Marvel movie.
Yes. There were a few in that kind of, I don't know, like 15, 20 minutes, because there was another one or two in the scene. Well, that's another spoiler, but in the scene with Charles Xavier, like in Wanda's mind, like that. I think there were 2 jump scares there. At that point, I was like, I'm right. Like I hit my limit and gone over.
Yeah.
I did actually enjoy it, which is what surprised me so much, is that even though I truly don't like to be scared. And I think part of that is just because I'm so invested in Marvel at this stage. I'm glad they waited this long to do it, but it made it enjoyable because I was like trying to laugh my way through it, even though I was actually kind of terrified at times.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, as somebody who's watched a whole lot of horror movies, that was a very mild horror movie. But there were elements, certainly, and definitely like that's Sam Raimi's style, is like a little goofy, a little scary, fast moving. That's how he makes his horror movies for sure. And I think Zach, even, didn't you watch, what was it, Evil Dead 2, which was
I've seen Evil Dead 2 and
you liked
one.
it
for
right?
sure. Yeah,
right.
That one's fun. It's zany, right? It's a zany horror movie with Bruce Campbell hamming it up. You know, he going like full Nicolas Cage.
Right.
And those are fun. In general, though, I find Sam Raimi a little annoying because of the goofiness, right? The tilted cameras and the little zooms and stuff like that. It's just a little, I don't know, zany in a way that like I've never connected with his tone, right? He has a certain tone that he tells a story with, and it's just a little bit goofy, serious, you know, and the serious stuff seems too serious to be goofy with, and then he's goofy with it. You know, Bruce Campbell is beating himself up for 3 weeks. That is torture. You know what I mean? But it's like, oh, that's funny. It's like,
Sure.
no, he's being tortured for 3 weeks.
I mean, he does
yeah.
have kind of like a sick sense of humor.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot worse in his straight horror movies than it is in this, for sure. But
Yeah.
I mean, in Evil Dead, which is another movie where Bruce Campbell's hand attacks him, his solution in that movie is to chop it off.
Yeah, and replace it with a chainsaw.
Yeah, they didn't go there in this movie, at least.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I have to say, and I'm not a expert by any means in Sam Raimi, but just hearing you
Sure.
describe that, Zach, and having seen it, I feel like if Marvel was going to do a horror film, that is exactly the right tone to make it still feel like part of the family and also feel like something completely new. So I don't know. I think that it is the right mesh of what we know and like about Marvel, and also taking it to that kind of different direction.
Exactly. They kept it away from being like kind of the just dry creepiness of a lot of horror directors. That's just, I don't want to live in this, sadness of a world, kind of thing. He kept it fun, even though it was it had the horror elements in it. So I agree with that's what a Marvel horror movie would look like.
Yep. Okay. What else as far as spoilers? What do we got?
Big spoiler is the villain. Maybe Zach can
Sure.
talk about it since
Yeah.
Yeah.
you've
So it's Scarlet Witch, right? Elizabeth Olsen's character. Remind me, what is her name in the MCU when she's not
Wanda.
Scarlet Witch? Wanda. Yeah. So driven mad by missing her kids, and this is all developed in WandaVision, the TV show on Netflix. She wants to steal the powers from this girl named America, who can jump between parallel universes in order to jump to a universe that her kids are still around. And so she'll do anything to make that happen, right? She'll kill who she has to kill. She'll do what she has to do in order to get back to her kids. And I loved her performance because at the beginning she's Wanda, and if you hadn't seen WandaVision, in about 10 seconds they bring you up to speed in her motivation just by that dream sequence and then having her wake up. I thought that was really beautifully done. And you see her like in kind of, her kids are so corny in this film, but like you see her like corny domestic life, and she's happy. And then all of a sudden to just like, she's a woman who is just holding on at the edge of despair, right? Who just is all sadness all the time. And then when she switches to the Scarlet Witch, and reveals that she's like now evil, her entire persona changes. Her voice changes, her demeanor changes. And I thought it was really well done. It was not over the top. She wasn't shouting to the rafters. It was subtle, I thought, but it was very good and controlled. And I thought she did an awesome job at the Scarlet Witch. And it's kind of a thin motivation because these kids were never real to begin with, and she could recreate them if she wanted to. I don't know. It seemed like a little thin motivation for her to just destroy people. But I believed her character, and I really liked her acting job on it.
I agree. I thought she was amazing. I think one point of it too, Zach, is if I understood the movie correctly, is it's not just her grief, but like she has the dark hold, which is like corrupting her.
Absolutely.
So I think that it helps. I don't know if it helps explain her motivation, but it kind of helps explain how it got this far to this point where she's like truly driven mad and like willing to kill people.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I thought she was amazing. And I think the scene I was talking about earlier was all her, my favorite one, which we'll talk about. But I just thought she was incredible, even more so than in WandaVision.
Is Wanda considered an Avenger?
Yeah.
I mean, I know she's in Avengers movies, but I didn't remember if she's like had the distinction or if she was just kind of around because,
No, she's an Avenger. They even in this movie say it's nice to have an Avenger here or something like that. Evily, what was the scene, your favorite scene?
It's the one I was scared throughout it, but it was the one where she like invades the home of the other universe Wanda, and she like chases her. I don't know, or I don't know if she chases her through the house, but like she's kind of like hiding. It's, I don't know, this is some sort of horror trope where you can see like the camera shifting and there's something there lurking. And then when she like becomes disoriented and she's sort of stumbling through the kitchen, and the photo of her turns and looks,
Yeah.
and then the whole thing happens, and then she looks directly in the camera. I don't know. I thought that whole scene, it was the thing that I kept thinking about when I left the theater. Sure. I just loved maybe that was all Sam Raimi. I liked the way it was treated and just the weird things that the camera was doing. And I felt super disoriented watching it. And then she gets you with her eyes, which I thought was so good.
Sure. Yeah, Sam Raimi is very well known for like crazy camera angles, fast cuts, stuff like that. Like at the beginning of his career, he made a movie called Evil Dead, which was like nothing. Like they spent like nothing.
10 grand in a week in the woods.
Yeah. It was like nothing. And because of that, he got a bigger budget and he made Evil Dead 2, which is Evil Dead with a bigger budget.
Yeah,
like
it's just a remake.
They literally changed nothing about the storyline for the most part. But part of what he did with those small budget movies is he would like just hold the camera and run through the forest and then like speed up the footage so that it was like the demon was chasing you through the forest, stuff like that. So he's really inventive with camera angles, what he's most well known for. If you go back and watch Spider-Man now, like his Spider-Man trilogy, after watching this, you'll be like, oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here that he cribbed from Evil Dead for Spider-Man, and then he cribbed it again for this. But I also enjoyed like pretty much all the Wanda stuff, and I had no clue she was the villain in this. And I liked her motivation, and I like short of maybe what's the villain's name from Black Panther?
Killmonger.
I felt like Killmonger had like a really human reason for being angry at Black Panther and things like that. And with this one, we've had enough time with Wanda in the Avengers movies and things like that. And then we had her own series. I thought they set it up really well. Like it makes sense that she would turn and become a villain. And it's hard to have a character left turn that hard and for you to be sympathetic towards them at the end of everything they've just done. And it's really a problem in comic book movies. Like they've tried to do it with the Dark Phoenix saga in the X-Men movies and the Fox X-Men movies twice, and they can't get it done because people don't care enough about Jean Grey when she turns into the Phoenix. But I thought they gave us enough time to really sink into the idea that we like her and we don't like what she's doing, but we understand why she's doing it. And so when she comes back around at the end, I'm not saying all is forgiven, but kind of all is forgiven. You know what I mean? Like she didn't make the final mistake type of thing. Right. There was like some redemption towards the end of the movie. Yeah, I liked it a lot and was not expecting it. I don't know what I was expecting. I really had no expectation on this movie, like at all. I don't know why. Maybe just because the Marvel movies come so fast at us, I don't even have time to like process, why I should be excited about something, because it's there like at my door before I know it.
Another performance I really liked was Xochitl Gomez, who played America. I really like this character. I like this actress. I'm excited to see what she does in the future in this, universe. Mm-hmm. I think she has a really cool power. I like her origin story. I really liked everything she was in. And I liked that the movie started with her too.
I agree. I felt like they did a good job of making you like and care about her really quickly.
Instantly, yeah.
For a character we've never seen before or even been hinted at. I agree. I liked her right off the bat, and I was rooting for her the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Doctor Strange, is he supposed to come off as a kind of a bad guy version of a good guy in these films? Like he's kind of like he's a good, obviously he's a hero, right? But he kind of makes, I think, questionably evil decisions all the time.
I mean, he's arrogant, right? So that's a character trait that lots of villains share. And so I
Yeah.
think that's part of why you feel that way. But in the
He's
comics,
utilitarian. Maybe that's it. Most heroes are not utilitarian, right? The ends don't justify the means. That's a common superhero mantra. And it seems like with Doctor Strange, the ends absolutely justify the means.
well, like
He would kill 1,000 people to save 2,000 people.
sure. He's kind of like he's not a magician, but he's kind of a magician in like a weird way. Like his origin story, there's nothing about magic in it, but he's a guy who wields magic essentially. And if you think about magicians, they will deceive you. That's what they do. It's part of the gig. It's in the pursuit of making you laugh or astonishing you or whatever, but it's all deception type of stuff. So I think just the core of him is to be arrogant, a little deceptive, to be a know-it-all, that type of stuff. But I also think that he will probably turn at some point in one of these movies. I mean, I know this is skipping way ahead, but at the end of WandaVision, Wanda gets what's it called? The book, the negative book.
Darkhold.
The Darkhold. She gets the Darkhold. A couple years later, we see a movie where she turns evil, right? In this movie, he also, before it gets destroyed, uses the Darkhold. And by the end of the movie, has a third eye and it seems a little different to me. And so I have the feeling that maybe in like Secret War or something, somewhere down the line, I think he's going to also get motivated by something that's not ultimately great, like Wanda did. But I don't know.
I was also going to say, I think part of his personality, and I don't know any surgeons myself, but like he's a surgeon, and so maybe he's used to making tough decisions and having to sort of just be okay with it. Like I have to make this decision to do. I don't know. Maybe I'm way projecting too much onto that character. But when you started talking, Zach, that's where my head went. Is like maybe that has something to do with it, or that's why he was successful.
Sure.
in his
I think it
pre-magic
goes
career.
to why in these parallel universes, right? He's a bad guy in some of them, right? Because he made the hard choices or the arrogant choices that resulted in a trillion deaths or whatever. Like he rides close to the line, closer than a lot of heroes would get, and so you jump over to a different universe and like he's often on the other side of the line. Is what it seemed to me.
Did either of you watch What If on Disney Plus?
I didn't, and now I'm wishing I
have
did.
not.
Yeah, there's a lot
Really?
of shared material, yes, with this movie. And yeah, they explore the whole him going down the path of too many bad decisions that result in catastrophe
Okay.
in that show. It was really interesting. Very, very different.
I would
Sure.
definitely have to check that out. One thing that really surprised me was how heavily WandaVision led into this film, and how the Loki show didn't lead into the film at all. I thought this was going to be a direct continuation of Loki, and I don't think it referenced what happened in Loki at all. Right? I was very surprised by that.
No, not at all.
Whereas, just thematically, I would think what happened in Loki would really apply to this movie, and it's just nothing. I don't know. Am I missing something, or?
I mean, I agree that I don't remember a direct reference to Loki, but the idea that there's multiverses exists because of what happened in Loki. And the idea that they're going to battle against each other or try to control each other in different ways, or interfere with each other, is something that's established in Loki. Now, could you have aired this or released this before Loki? Probably. I'm not sure they connect enough that you'd have to watch those in order. But yeah, and I think Loki also, before this movie, I guess there was No Way Home. That's a pretty good primer for what a multiverse looks like, for sure. You don't necessarily have to have the 8-episode Loki primer for No Way Home. I don't know. I agree. Not directly connected, but feels like it helped me be in a state of mind where, because this movie jumps into the weirdness pretty fast. Like it, it feels like no time has passed, and all of a sudden you're shattering through 12 different timelines so fast that you can barely comprehend what's going on. Uh, Even the opening, like I follow this stuff and I was confused by it when you have like evil Doctor Strange with America Chavez and they're like floating around trying to get this book from the middle, and I was like, is this just like a Guardians of the Galaxy style prologue where they just do a thing even though none of that's going to matter later? I don't know. Um, it ended up mattering, but it was a lot in the outset. I will say, and this is kind of off topic, I love that we're in a world where a character can literally like project a star pattern, and that's like the portal to like another dimension, and like nobody cares how cheesy that looks on screen. How like awesomely cheesy that looks. Like in a world where 20 years ago they wouldn't even let X-Men be in their uniforms because nobody would accept it. You know what I mean? They had to wear all black leather instead of their colorful uniforms. Now we're in a world where like nobody bats an eye when there's a giant star on the screen and people are flying through it. I love that for sure.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Agreed. I didn't think it was cheesy at all. Now that you say
Yeah.
it, I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. But
It's
I
Sam
can't-
Raimi cheesy.
I didn't
for
didn't
sure.
question it actually.
Yeah,
I was like, this is
exactly.
great. And there was like, and I love that scene where they're flying through the different universes, and you got to see them, and like some of them were way out there, like the paint world, you know. And I think there was one, there was a cartoon. I thought all that was great. I wanted more of that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I thought that was super fun.
Evely, what else stood out to you about the film?
Well, we can talk about the Illuminati and all the characters that
Yep.
cameoed.
Yeah,
Not just Charles Xavier, which wasn't technically a spoiler, I guess, because they did include him in a trailer and people got all excited about it. But I know, James, you just reminded me of it because you said the costumes, and he was in like yellow and green from the cartoon show.
Mhm.
I didn't watch the cartoon show, but I guess it was like the classic colors.
it was his look down
yeah.
to the wheelchair.
Yeah.
For sure.
But then you had Captain Carter, which again, that was from very heavily featured in What If.
Oh, okay.
Her character. Yeah, so that was kind of cool to see her in real life. And then Mr. Fantastic, which was a big first reveal. And I think what people consider a fan cast, I don't know that that was confirmed, that it was John Krasinski, but people wanted it to be him. So I thought that was really interesting. I wonder if he will be that character in the Fantastic Four movie, or if they just did that for this one and he could have been from any universe and not the one that we spend time with. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. What'd you guys think of John Krasinski?
As an actor or in this film?
No. Like when he appeared on screen.
I
have
personally
thoughts.
I personally was very excited when I saw him.
Really?
Because I like the guy, right? I watched The Office when it came out. I'm a big fan of Jim, and I just like him personally from what I see on, some good news and all that. And so to see him in the MCU, I was like, yes, I am on board for him. Now, his portrayal of the dude was pretty dry.
Sure.
But I think that has no bearing on what his portrayal would be in a Fantastic Four movie, because this is alternative, Fantastic Four. So I think he's purposely playing it differently than he would in a different universe.
Sure.
In 616. That's my thoughts. He didn't last long.
No,
Evely.
I was excited, but mostly, well, one, I like him as a celebrity, as someone who, like, the stories I see about him, I like him. I didn't watch The Office, so I don't really have a connection to him as an actor, but I was excited because it felt like, oh, they did it. Like, this is the character that, the internet wanted for, or this is the actor the internet wanted for this character. And it just felt fun, like fan service. So it made me excited because it was happening.
And we want to see his wife as Sue Storm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Emily Blunt. Please bring her into the MCU.
Yeah, I don't know. I I like him too. I've seen all of The Office, and I like the Quiet Place movies. You know, I like John Krasinski. He kind of looked like a balloon head in this movie. Like I don't know if they
What does
just
that
gave
mean?
him
What's
like
a balloon head?
like I don't know if they just gave him a longer body because he's playing like Stretch Man or whatever they could,
Stretch Man?
Mr. Fantastic, but his power is like to stretch, but he was super thin and his head was like a bobblehead to me.
Did
I
he
don't
have a
know.
bigger than normal head? I think that's just his head.
It felt bigger than normal, but it might just be me. I don't know.
Are you projecting, James, on other people's heads?
Why? Because I have a big head? Is that what you're saying? I actually don't have a big head. I just have a big beard, so it looks big. You just don't remember
We've
what I
come
look
full
like without the
circle.
beard.
That's right.
Um,
That's funny.
I don't know. It distracted me. I'll say that. I was just like, why is John Krasinski in this movie all of a sudden? And I remember hearing like he said publicly he wants to be Reed Richards, and other people want him to be Reed Richards, so it makes sense that he's on screen as Reed Richards. But I was just like, maybe because all the other things were happening at the same time, like characters that we know but in different forms, and other characters that I have no basis for, like the guy who can like scream and melt you. No clue who that guy was. Never read a comic with him. Don't know who that is. And yet they're like making jokes about him that I didn't understand. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe some of these things I just don't know about. And then at the end of all those introductions, John Krasinski with his balloon head as Mr. Fantastic.
Did you notice?
It's just
notice
like,
this,
okay,
Evelyn?
what?
No. His
I
head
didn't
looked
notice it.
normal to me.
It looked normal to me.
I don't know. I mean,
Did you see this in 3D?
no, it wasn't in 3D. It wasn't like popping out at me or anything. I don't know. Obviously, it didn't ruin the movie for me, but I was distracted for sure. The way that scene resolves, though, with the way that set piece resolves, where Wanda just flat murders everybody, was crazy.
Brutal.
So one interesting thing is that I actually liked this because I like seeing where people rank against each other and like who's more powerful than who else. And that
Yeah, you like
Scarlet
murder.
Witch.
I got it.
Scarlet Witch is so powerful, right? She's better than Benedict Wong. She's better than Doctor Strange. She's better than Reed Richards. Like Charles Xavier. From the little I'm not a huge comic fan at all, but the little I understand is that Charles Xavier has one of the strongest minds in the universe. That like his mental powers are like second to none, and she took him out in like 20 seconds. Like she seems a little overpowered to me in this film. Like Fantastic Four, she took out one of the Fantastic Four like snapping her fingers. So I'm fine with her being like super overpowered because in the end she was defeated, so we got to see that happen. But I was a little surprised at how easily she was able to just beat everyone she wanted to beat. Like it was very, very easy.
Yeah.
I mean, in the end, you could say she was defeated, but really she was convinced to not do what she was doing. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they
she
show
made the
her.
choice.
She makes the choice, and they show her the kids. The kids are scared of her. If the kids weren't scared of her and had run up and hugged her, it would have been, kept going. She'd still be bad to this day. But the fact that the kids react negatively to her because she's scary, then she changed her mind. But I'm not sure anybody, other than giving her the opportunity to see what she was doing, or that she was being scary and that kids wouldn't ever want to be around her. I'm not sure anybody defeated her. Maybe.
So she's undefeated. I'm just saying she's very overpowered.
I agree. She's undefeated.
She almost took out Thanos on her own in Endgame.
That's
If you
right.
remember like the major fight scene, like she was like dismantling his armor with her wrists, just flicking her wrists. And that was before she was like fully Scarlet Witchified. So they did kind of hint at what was to come.
Yeah, seriously.
I thought the deaths were really brutal, also very creative, especially like Black Bolt, where she sealed his mouth shut. I was shocked in that moment, and he
Yeah.
like screams and blows up his like implodes his own brain. I don't know. That
Mhm.
was a lot.
I
I
mean,
was surprised they went there.
there's a couple graphic moments where they definitely went there, and then others where they, like when the new, I guess it's not the new Captain America. What is
Oh,
what
Captain Carter.
Captain Carter? Captain Carter, her own shield like cuts her in half. They don't show it, but they could have probably showed that, like two pieces sliding apart,
I'm glad they didn't.
which is definitely definitely a trope that happens in horror movies. Um, but then at the same time, that other guy, like his head literally explodes on the screen. They did not cut away from that. Yeah, so
Implodes.
implodes, right?
But then I think Reed Richards' head explodes. Like there were two head
Sure.
explosions in like a matter of a minute and a half. It was a
I
lot.
thought he's spaghettiified. What happened to him?
He did, but then I think at the very end his head like popped.
Oh, he popped. Yeah. Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Brutal.
It was it was
Brutal.
intense.
And then Professor X gets his neck broken.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Did it-
That was a lot.
It seemed a little disrespectful to like everyone's so excited when he comes on screen, right? That was the only time my audience like was palpably excited is when they saw his little wheelchair.
Mhm.
And then he dies almost immediately.
Sure. I mean, I kind of feel like this is my guess. I have no clue, but I'm willing to bet that when they bring back when they introduce the X-Men to the MCU, Patrick Stewart will not be Professor X.
He's getting a little old.
He's older. They want a Professor X that's going to be old but young enough to be in movies for 15 years as Professor X. And they've got the multiverse going right now, so they can bring him in, get rid of him. They get the, applause from the audience out of it, and that's it. I kind of feel like that's what we saw there. That was it for Patrick Stewart in MCU movies.
Yeah. It's funny though, comparing this to the last Marvel film in the theater was Spider-Man, which like you couldn't hear half the movie because people were cheering and like expressing their emotions over the movie, like good and bad. And then this one, I feel like for the most part, my theater was really quiet. I think we were all just shocked about what was happening. Like it was,
Yeah,
I don't think
agreed.
anyone was really expecting, the movie we got because it wasn't really marketed
Mhm.
per the IMDb synopsis.
Yeah,
Is what we got. Didn't make it bad. It was great, but it was surprising.
sure. I'm trying to think of
I
what
kind
else.
of thought we'd have more of the like Multiverse of Madness. I thought we'd have more Spider-Man No Way Home moments. I was like, oh, there's that person. And I don't know. I guess I was expecting a little bit of that element coming out of the last film, but I'm kind of glad they didn't do that because it might have felt too repetitive.
Yeah, I mean, if they really wanted to blow our mind, they would bring back who? Because you're going to a different universe, so literally anybody that's died in the MCU could have come back. Like some actor walks on stage, and you're like, you never thought you'd ever see that person in an MCU movie again. I don't know, maybe what's that guy? The agent that that dies?
No. If you really wanted to get the crowd excited, Robert Downey Jr. would have
Yeah.
showed up.
I think so too.
Sure.
That would have riled up the crowd for sure. Or throw in a little Wolverine. I think you could have gotten people pretty jazzed.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, because
Okay.
I don't know if Hugh Jackman's will ever be in an MCU movie either.
I think he will.
Or Deadpool, who I think will be in the MCU. They could have brought him in at some point, even just as like a little.
He should have been reading the comic book that was taking place.
Yes.
That would have been great. Okay, so someone that we have not mentioned at all is Rachel McAdams.
Yeah.
Who plays Kristen, and I know that because they say her name a billion times in this movie. Or maybe it's Christine.
It is
Anyways.
Christine.
Christine, okay.
So
Christine.
you don't know that.
Well, no, but they said it so many times. It was
It is.
like they intentionally said it like 20 times.
Sure.
But I was not on board with that character in this film. It felt very forced. Thematically,
Wait,
I
which
think it
Christine
works.
are you talking about?
What?
Alternate universe Christine or
Alternate
like
universe
MC?
Christine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
The real if he wants to go to the wedding and tie that loose end from the first movie. Great. But then she shows up in alternate universe, and I really don't know what she's doing there. And he like brings her along on the adventures. Like she goes into the place between universes to like get the book. Like she's there right with them. It's like, well, just leave her in the tunnel. It's very dangerous for her to be out here. But I didn't understand her character really, and I don't know. I think that was an unnecessary addition. I loved Benedict Wong. Everything in him was awesome in this movie. But I don't know. What do you guys think of Rachel McAdams in this film?
I thought she
I
was
liked her.
necessary.
Necessary.
Here's why. Because you got a main character here, right? It's the guy in the title of the movie, Doctor Strange. He has to have he has to learn something over the course of this totally weird situation and kind of convoluted storyline that they had other movies lead into this one. So like all those things have very little to do with actual Doctor Strange and like who he is and what journey he's on. And so by bringing Rachel McAdams in at the top of the movie before all the strangeness comes in, and you realize like she's a good person. He recognizes that, and yet he still can't pull the trigger or open up to her or anything like that, because to do that would mean that he would have to admit that he's wrong occasionally, type of thing. And so she sees that and she moves on, right? And then in the other universe, it's reiterated to him via somebody, like no matter what universe she's in, Christine, who might make different decisions, still comes to the same conclusion about him. You know what I mean? And at the beginning, you're not sure at the wedding if it's fully soaked into him that he's the issue here, not her. And by the time he by the time he spends some time around other Christine in the other universe, even though that Christine never really had hugely romantic thoughts about him, she came to the exact same conclusions about him. In fact, she's maybe came to the conclusions even faster than, normal MCU timeline Christine. And so I think of anything in the movie, short of like, you shouldn't kill America Chavez, that's pretty much the only thing Doctor Strange learns in the movie is to allow other people, in the words of the movie, to take the scalpel. He doesn't always have to be right. His way isn't always perfect. Those types of things, without the Rachel McAdams character, without Christine in the movie, I don't think that gets reiterated enough for him to learn the lesson by the end of the movie. Because by the end of the movie, it's America Chavez that saves the day. Right?
Right. Yeah.
Not Doctor Strange.
Yes.
And
she has her own arc as well, which is great.
Right. And she might have done that even without him. But by that point in the movie, he is useless. He's like Doctor Strange mummy. He's half melted. He can barely get up off the ground. And so not only does he have to give over the reins, but he seemingly willingly does it because he knows, like, he's learned that he's not the only one that can do this. I don't know. Your thoughts, Evily?
I agree. I didn't have any problem with her. Like, I wasn't questioning it in the middle of watching the film. Like, why is she around? And at one point, I remember thinking to myself, like I wouldn't walk in that house whenever they enter the old creepy sanctum. And I think she stayed outside, but I'm like, why are you still here? Like, don't run, go somewhere else. But I think at that point it was like, I either help Doctor Strange save the day, or we all die. So I'm just like in it. She's just braver than I would be.
I guess you have to stay with the person that can get you back to your universe, right?
Right.
Otherwise,
at that point she's stuck.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed her, and I liked that they had that closure at the end, which I feel like then led directly into him meeting a very beautiful woman who he runs off into the darkness with. So maybe she will be his new love interest, since he finally got closure with Christine.
I think they get married in the comic books.
Do they?
Yeah. Doctor Strange and Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah, you might not know this, but the co-host that's not here, Kyle, loves Charlize Theron. And he had he had interest in this movie, but not enough to, make it happen type of thing. And so I hope he's not listening to this if he hasn't seen the movie. But I think this will be his favorite MCU movie, right, Zach?
Oh yeah, for
Because
sure. Especially because it's the last thing you see pretty much. And so
right,
yeah, it's gonna end with a bang for him.
That's
for
funny.
sure.
Whereas I thought
Um,
it just seemed like, I mean, yeah, if you know that character or want to be excited that Charlize is in the MCU now, that's
mhm.
great. But if you look at it from just like a 10,000-foot view, all the scene is like a random person shows up, they're all in white, and they say, "Come with me," and then they go with that. It's like it's a big nothing. But
For
yeah.
sure. If I had one complaint about the Rachel McAdams appearance in this movie is that she literally only exists to
For him,
to give Steven
Yeah.
a lesson. Basically,
she doesn't
Like,
have a thing of it.
maybe that's why they have her follow around and like help for a while, is because they were like, we can't just have her in here to like throw off a couple lines that make him, self introspect type of thing.
She
I don't
fights some demons.
Yeah, that's true. She does.
She has her moment, her hero moment.
Oh, I forgot the shot of like Mummy. I mean, this is Sam Raimi nerd in me. The shot of Mummy, Doctor Strange assembling those demons into a cape was one of the coolest visuals I've ever seen in a movie. Maybe ever. I don't know. There's not many Marvel movies that visually like just blow me away, but the design of that was just like, I can't believe they're doing this, and it looks that cool on screen. Yeah, I was on board, and that happening at the end, I was just like, absolutely more of this, please.
Was zombie Doctor Strange with a cape of demons on your bingo card, James?
No,
No.
I did not.
Was
I did not expect that from this movie. But this movie is more like Army of Darkness, which is the third Evil Dead movie. Where like the third Evil Dead movie, he has just as much horror as this movie has in it, but it's like heightened goofiness through the vast majority of it. Like the tone of Army of Darkness and this movie are very, very similar. And it also happens to be my favorite Evil Dead movie. So it absolutely worked for me. But Army of Darkness was made in the early 90s. So like it's lots of blue screen and like the graphics are nothing like they were in this movie. That's for sure. It was awesome. It was great. And zombie um zombie Doctor Strange at the end definitely had like, I don't know if it was practical, but like the makeup effects on when he's like on the ground and he's about as decayed as he could be. I don't know how you would refer to him in that state, but it looked very practical to me. I'm curious how much of it was and how much of it wasn't, but loved that too. Practical effects all the way.
I have
Anything
another
else?
scene I want to talk about. Yes.
Yeah.
The music fight.
Sure.
Where they took
with
the music
Chiwetel
notes.
Ejiofor? Oh yeah,
No.
that I forgot about that.
I loved that one too. That I really found myself smiling in that scene. Like, this is just fun. I loved that they did that. It was really cool and different, like surprising. All the things that this movie was definitely exemplified, I think, in that scene. I loved it. I would go back just to rewatch that scene.
Yeah, I just want to know what. I mean, I recognize some of the tunes, obviously, but there was at least two that I was like, I'm not sure I've ever heard that.
It was
I'm
just
sure
fun.
they're all classic.
Yeah, that was certainly a bold choice. I think I could be on board with it just as like a fun visual musical fight kind of a thing. It's a little zany. It's very much a Sam Raimi kind. Like he's holding up a staff as shields, right? And notes are being shot at it. And I wonder if someone is familiar with the music of those pieces, if the notes actually correspond with the music that was being played.
I feel like they have to.
Yeah,
I think Marvel would go there.
Yeah. I think
I don't know.
musically
I loved it.
was
It worked for me.
very interesting. And I've never seen that. That is a new way to have a fight. And
Yeah.
this movie had a very interesting soundtrack, I thought. Like when Chiwetel Ejiofor fights Doctor Strange, all of a sudden the music changes to like this very music that was very different than anything I've ever heard in an MCU film. And there were a couple moments where like the music choice really surprised me.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
He wrote original Batman score. He's great. Is this his first MCU movie? I think it might be.
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. But he writes good comic book scores for sure.
Yeah. I liked it.
There's a couple other things that I wanted to get your thoughts on. First with the books, okay? With the Darkhold book, that like clearly corrupts anyone that uses it. I mean, that book, you do not mess with the Darkhold, right? It totally ruined the Scarlet Witch, and it totally ruined the evil Doctor Strange. And I just was really surprised that Doctor Strange decided to use it, because it just seems like there's no going back. It seems like the riskiest thing he could have done was to use the Darkhold. So I was very surprised that he chose to use that at the end. And I don't like the eye. I think the eye is, I don't know if the eye is well done enough for me. If it fit somehow, I'd be fine, but it felt very tacked on. I don't know. What'd you guys think?
I mean, it looked goofy for sure, but
Didn't it
there
look
was a lot of
goofy?
goofy things in that movie. So
I know, but yeah, it looked too goofy. It looked too fake. If it looked like a real third eye, like how those look. Evely, what did you think about him using the Darkhold and his third eye?
I'm not a fan of the third eye, but mostly just feels creepy.
Yeah.
It didn't surprise me that he used it, because I felt like that was a thread throughout the story, was like every Doctor Strange is the same and you all end up doing the same stupid thing. And here he goes doing it, but it's because he was kind of identified as the one who was really good at heart. I don't know, like so that he could do it and not be fully corrupted. I don't know, that's how I was tracking. I don't know if that's what was the intention. So it didn't surprise me, and it didn't surprise me that he did it, or that it didn't like fully corrupt him, although it did cause the little thing on his forehead.
Yeah.
I also think it's in character for him to, even though people have said you shouldn't use it, even though Wanda has turned, full bad guy because she used it, he's still Doctor Strange, and he still thinks he'll be able to use it without any repercussion.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like it was approached sort of as like a sacrifice. Like, I know that this is not going to be good for me, but it's the only way that I can get to her and try to stop this. So I'm willing to take that on. But I think maybe done, like you said, James, with arrogance, that he always approaches everything. But it felt like he was sort of acknowledging, like, yeah, this is probably not a good decision for me, but I'm going to do it because it's the only way.
Okay, you guys have convinced me on this one, and you convinced me. You turned me on Rachel McAdams,
but not the eye.
No, definitely not the eye. Now turn me on this. So there's the good book, right? And the book's power, the good one, I forget what it's called, Vishanti or something. What it's called?
I think.
Yeah. That book will give you whatever you need to defeat your enemy. Did no one want to use that against Thanos? Like did that not come up at all against Thanos? Like, let's go get that book.
Sure. I mean, maybe the people that were there in the moment didn't know about it.
I mean, Doctor Strange himself is like looking at every possibility of, ways to beat Thanos.
Sure.
And I don't know.
I mean, this
Maybe
is the
they didn't know
problem
how to
with
get to it.
Sure. Yeah, that could be too. Maybe it was too hard to get to, Zach.
Well, he knew how to get to, alternate universe him knew how to get to it. And Black Witch or Scarlet Witch knew how to get to it.
Right, but
because she sent her demon there.
We've established that alternate universes, I guess they existed before Loki. I don't know. Can't turn you on that one, Zach.
Okay. I just think they should have used it against Thanos. Is it destroyed now?
Good point.
The good book? Or
Yeah.
the bad book?
The good book.
I don't think the good.
I
Oh,
think
what?
just a
Didn't
A
Wanda
page
zap
definitely
it?
burned. Yeah, I don't know if the
Yeah.
whole thing. Can't remember.
Okay.
I felt like that was kind of like the bad book's gone and the good book is gone.
Yeah.
I mean,
Eh.
I'm not going to change your mind as far as the good book goes, but I mean, if you held those kind of rules against comic books or like anything, then nobody would ever be able to progress a story ever. You know what I mean? Like they have to be able to introduce new things that might have affected things that
Well,
happened before
the
it.
new thing they introduced was this book will help you defeat anyone.
Sure.
Again, it's a little overpowered.
Okay. I could see that.
Benedict Wong knew about it.
Sure.
Can I tell you that my main quibble with the film, this is my biggest issue with the film,
All right, let's hear
is that Doctor Strange's eyebrows change from scene to scene. In one scene, they'll be so narrow, and then another
Sure.
scene they'll be twice the length. And it's like he'll be talking to the same person, and his eyebrows will change in width. It was distracting. Did no one else notice this?
No, I didn't notice that.
It was the most egregious when he's at the wedding. His eyebrows are like the size of his pupils. Like they're so small. And then as soon as he leaves the wedding and he's flying around, they're like normal eyebrows again. It was distracting.
I mean,
so that that's all I could pay attention to for like half
do you think
an
they
hour.
changed with his character, or it was just a continuity error?
It was just a continuity error.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, your experience watching this was very different than mine. If you noticed that,
Yeah.
It was. I'm gonna find some sort of screenshot from that wedding scene.
I mean, I
It was
believe you.
comical. I was like, I didn't realize he had that small of eyebrows, but he didn't for much of the film.
Sure. Anything else? I will say, so Danny Elfman did score Avengers Age of Ultron. So this is not his first MCU movie, but nobody remembers that movie. So maybe that's why we didn't remember.
But that was Scarlet Witch's debut. So that's kind of a cool thing.
Interesting.
He's like got her character down.
Yep.
He also did Men in Black, another Marvel related thing. He did the Spider-Man movies with.
And he does a
Sam
ton of
Raimi.
Tim Burton movies.
Yep. He also did Zach's favorite movie ever.
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting.
Yeah. Which is so funny.
Why?
It's like all these movies I don't like, and then Good Will Hunting.
Sure.
Like he has so many movies I don't like,
Sure.
and then Good Will Hunting.
Right.
Yeah. Don't know what to do with that.
Okay. I had two more things written down.
All right.
They're not that exciting. But the first is I thought it was really interesting that we got two Marvel movies in a row where Doctor Strange is the main character, right? Spider-Man was the last one. I'm not skipping anything. Okay. And he's playing this like mentor figure to a teenager. Like I kept hearing him call her kid. I'm like, this feels very familiar. And it was, I don't know if that was the intention originally or if that has to do with the way the stories had to be reconfigured, but I found that really interesting. Like I don't know, like they're establishing him as this
mentor,
pathetic mentor, not father figure, but yeah, mentor figure,
right?
Who likes to hang out with teenagers.
Sure.
Is that picking up the mantle of Robert Downey Jr.?
Maybe he only did that with Spider-Man, but
yeah,
maybe.
I mean, maybe I don't think they'll be as successful. I like Benedict Cumberbatch, but he's no Robert Downey Jr. in like the charm department.
Right.
They're also very different characters, although they're both very arrogant. So I don't know. Maybe they are similar.
I think they're super similar.
Yeah.
Characters, but yeah, except in like the charm department, like you said, they both are super arrogant and super smart, but they handle it in a different way.
Yeah.
Can you remind me about the cape? Is the cape a completely separate sentience, or is it like connected to him in some way?
Totally separate.
So the cape is its own superhero.
Its own
just
being.
that he works with Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the only other thing I wrote down is that one thing that struck me as a mom watching this on the Friday of Mother's Day weekend was that somebody needs to do, they take like a Disney movie and they cut it they take the same scenes and they cut it into a horror film trailer. I want them to do this, but do like a Mother's Day take, because there was a lot of mom stuff happening. Like I think she had a line that's like, I'm not a monster, I'm a mother. And it was all about her and her boys. And then America Chavez and her moms. Like, I just think there was sure. Like a whole, Mother's Day weekend trailer that didn't happen. And I wish somebody on the internet would do it for me.
Yeah.
Calling all editors.
So get to work, everyone.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Totally random.
Well, that's all I
think
got.
America Chavez will find her mother again. Did she have two mothers in this?
She had two moms.
Two. Yeah. I think so too.
She'll find them again.
For sure.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of people up in arms, as you'd imagine, about the two moms thing. And it's in the comic books. It's like,
yeah.
It's not something they invented for the movie.
Yep.
Anything else? Zach, are you changing your star rating since we turned you around on two of your nitpicks?
Yeah. I'm
What
changing it.
5 stars?
No, not 5 stars. Yeah, I'm gonna give this 2.5 stars.
2.5. All right.
Because I like some of it and some of it I didn't like.
Fair
and so
enough.
Right in the middle.
They're gonna average themselves out. Yeah, for sure.
Fair
I
enough.
really, I'm not a fan of the horror elements in this film.
Mhm.
It's just not the kind of movie watching I like to watch, especially the, senseless killing and the jump scares and that kind. I don't know. And then the tone on top of that, I don't like a zany tone with dark stuff. I just think it's a combo that I don't tend to like.
Sure.
But I liked the Doctor Strange character, and I liked a lot of the supporting cast, and I thought I liked the cameos and the world building. I liked the music, so I have this is less a 2.5 and more of like a 4 and a 1.
Gotcha. So if they had just removed all the Sam Raimi-ness, you would have liked it more.
Yeah, I would have. Yes.
Fair enough. All right. That's it for spoilers for this episode.
Well,
before we go,
hold on. You guys haven't ranked this film.
Oh,
yet.
we didn't rank them?
No, we didn't.
Oh,
We didn't do it.
Let's do it now then. I gave it a 4.5. I really liked it. What'd you give it, Evely?
Nice.
I say this every time. I hate ranking things, but I really feel bad about it now because I feel like I just should like this movie more than James, but I gave it a 4.
Nice.
Which is on par with the other Doctor Strange movie for me,
Okay.
which is one that I really enjoyed, but I know it's not one that I'll return to often. Whereas in the scope of, I think you said 28 James Marvel films and all that has come out, I return to many of them just for fun because I love them so much. So I feel like 4 is on par.
Yeah, I mean, in a strange twist of fate, I'm basically the opposite of Zach. Like, if you had removed the Raimi stuff, this would be a 3 probably for me. The Raimi stuff really worked for me.
I could have predicted that for sure.
So. All right, let's play a little bit of MCU trivia before we get out of here. There are 20 questions in this quiz. I think the way we're going to go is there's a point for every question, but there might be bonus points here and there to get, and maybe we'll just flip-flop who's answering first. And if the other person gets it wrong, then you can steal it for full credit. Okay? So why don't we have Evely go first? Okay? 20 questions.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'm ready.
Again, these are all spoiler-free, so as far as the movie we just saw. So you just have to know a lot about the MCU, not necessarily Doctor Strange in the Universe of Madness. Number 1, how many years has it been since Doctor Strange debuted in the MCU?
Seven.
Unfortunately, no. Zach?
Um,
She low or high? Because I bet you have no idea.
oh yeah, I definitely have no idea. I think that it is I think that it is 6.
It is 6.
Ah, great
Doctor
job.
Strange, the first movie, was in 2016. So exactly 6. All right, Zach, you're up first on this one. How many MCU films has Doctor Strange made an appearance in?
Oh boy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna, without overthinking it, I'm gonna say 5.
Yes.
It was 5. It absolutely was 5.
Nice.
All right, Evely. Actually, Zach, we're gonna stick with you. Name them.
Okay. I might not get exact names, but it's gonna be Doctor Strange in
I
the
need
Multiverse
exact
of
names.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Okay.
Spider-Man colon No Way Home.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Avengers colon Infinity War and Avengers colon Endgame.
That's correct.
Nice.
All right, Evely. Since Iron Man, there has only been 1 year in which an MCU film was not released. What year was that?
Wow. Is that true?
That's true.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Most years get 2, 3 MCU movies, but there was 1 year between 2008 and today that literally none.
2009.
Yes.
It was 2009. It was.
What? How'd you do that?
Well,
How did
because
you know
once they
that?
started making money, they started pushing movies out
Right.
back to back.
It was only really early.
Wow.
The year after Iron Man, where they were like, "Oh crap, that worked."
Well done. I was gonna guess 2020.
Yeah. No, they released them.
Yeah.
Pandemic or not, they were releasing them. All right, Zach, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Which movie made more money based on the lifetime gross at the box office? Spider-Man colon No Way Home or Black Panther?
Spider-Man colon No Way Home.
That is correct. That is correct. Closest to the pin in millions. How much money difference is there between Spider-Man No Way Home and Black Panther?
I'm gonna say 100 million.
Evely, closest to the pin, so you just got to get closer than he just did.
Well, I'm not changing my answer. I was going to say 200 million.
200. Spider-Man No Way Home, 804 million. Black Panther, 700 million. So 104 million difference. Zach almost had it right on the head.
Wow.
Nice.
Pretty good.
Zach, you're killing it.
All right, Evely. By worldwide box office, which MCU film was the least financially successful? Out of all 28, which
Ooh.
movie made the absolute least?
By box office?
By worldwide box office, meaning everything.
Sure.
The Incredible Hulk.
That is correct. Yes.
Nice.
The Incredible Hulk.
Well done.
All right, Zach. In millions, how much money did the Incredible Hulk make at the worldwide box office? Closest to the pin.
Yeah.
You guys first.
In millions?
Mm-hmm.
That one made 160 million.
All right, Evely. In millions, how much did the Incredible Hulk make at the worldwide box office?
I feel like I have no frame of reference for this.
You don't do
at
box
all.
office numbers
I
often?
don't. So I'm gonna go
Just say higher or lower. Give yourself
84
the best shot.
million. Lower. 84 million.
84? Zach definitely took it. It was 263 million. Good job, guys.
That's not a bad
That goes
chunk of
there.
change.
All right. Who went first last time?
I did.
Okay, Evely. Which movie was released first? Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 or Spider-Man: Homecoming? Which movie was released first?
I'm gonna have to make a total guess.
Okay.
Guardians.
It was Guardians. It was Guardians.
Nice.
By not many days, for sure.
Oh, really?
Yep. Okay. Zach. In days, what was the shortest window of time between MCU film releases? In days. What's the shortest window of time that 2 MCU movies have been released in?
22.
You say 22, closest to the pin.
No laughing. No laughing.
Closest to the pin.
22.
Zach says 22.
100.
35.
Evely says 35. Evely gets it. It was 40. 40 days is the shortest time they've given between movies. All right. That was the
I was doing business days. Sorry.
Oh, okay. That was the Eternals, which was November 5th, 2021, and then Spider-Man No Way Home, December 17th. So just at the end of last year, we had 2 back-to-back in less than 2 months. Significantly less than 2 months. Okay. Zach?
Yes, sir.
No. Or is it Evely? It's Evely.
Okay.
Because she was number 1. Evely, in days, what was the longest window of time between MCU film releases? Closest to the pin.
Oh my gosh.
So in days.
In days. We're not counting Disney Plus shows, right? It's just the films.
Just the films, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go with 400.
Zach?
That's right about what I was going to guess. I'll say 450.
The answer? 693.
Oh, it was longer.
Almost 2 years. That was, again, the Incredible Hulk in 2008 and Iron Man 2 in 2010. A long gap. 2009 being the year in the middle that got nothing.
Forgot about that.
Yep. All right. Zach, let me give you a point here for that last one. Zach, I'm going to name 5 well-known actors. Okay?
Right.
You tell me which one is not in an MCU film. Okay?
Okay.
Vin Diesel, Benicio del Toro, Eddie Redmayne, Vincent D'Onofrio, and Lawrence Fishburne. Which one of those, out of those 5, 4 of them have been in an MCU movie, and 1 of them has not?
Who's the third one you mentioned?
Eddie Redmayne.
Eddie Redmayne. I can't remember which Marvel movie he would be in, but I also can't think of a Lawrence Fishburne movie. So I'll say Lawrence Fishburne.
That is incorrect.
Okay.
Evely for the steal. Do you want to hear the names again?
No, I know the 2 that I'm between, which is Eddie Redmayne and Vincent D'Onofrio, who has a character.
Lawrence Fishburne. What was he? I'm just curious.
You'll have to look it up, but
okay.
He's in there.
Okay.
I don't remember.
I'm going to go with Eddie Redmayne.
That is correct.
Nice.
Are we counting Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, or is there another one?
Mm-hmm. Kingpin.
Okay.
Yep. In No Way Home, I think. That was the last one, right? No Way Home. All right.
Is he in No Way Home? Or is he just in Hawkeye?
I believe he's in No Way Home briefly.
Okay. I don't remember.
I don't know either. All right, Evely, which 2 movies share the record for shortest MCU runtime?
Oh.
Which 2 movies share the record for being the shortest MCU movies.
Okay. Well, it's definitely not the Eternals. Let's go
Shots
Black
fired.
Widow. No, I enjoyed it. Black Widow and Hulk.
You get 1 point. Zach, for the steal. Not going to tell you which one she was right on.
Sure. For the shortest film.
Mm-hmm. There's 2 of them that have the exact same runtime. They're both the shortest MCU films.
Ant-Man.
And
The Wasp.
she got one of them right. So one of your guesses should be at least one of the ones she said.
What were her 2 guesses?
What were your 2 guesses?
Black Widow and the Incredible Hulk.
Black Widow and Ant-Man.
That is incorrect.
Okay.
It's the Incredible Hulk and Thor: The Dark World.
Oh.
Oh.
Both at 112 minutes. Zach?
Yeah.
Which MCU movie has the most words in the title? I'm
That's
not
a
gonna
great question.
I'm not going to give you forever to think about this. So
Sure. If I don't answer fast enough, my answer is going to be this most recent Doctor Strange movie.
okay.
But I'm going to think it through very quickly, and I'm going to say, without overthinking it, I'll go with this current one.
No.
The most recent
It's
one.
not the most recent movie that we just
Okay.
talked about.
All right.
Evely, can you steal?
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
No. It's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings
Oh, yes.
with 8
Yes, it
words.
is.
That is a lot of words.
A lot of words. Is it long? Is it more characters though?
I don't know. I didn't count that. Evely, which 3 MCU movies have only 1 word in the title? Again,
Oh.
I'm not going to give you forever on this.
But you should though, because I need more time. Avengers.
No.
It's the Avengers, isn't it?
It's Marvel's The Avengers.
Gosh. Okay, well then I already lost.
I'll give you 2 more.
Oh, okay. I really feel the pressure of this, and I feel like I should know these answers, but I don't. So I'm stalling, and I can't even think of one off the top of my head, though I should.
All right. I'll give you like
yeah.
10 more seconds.
This is a really hard question. I feel like it shouldn't be.
Zach, you're not
Iron Man is
researching,
not
are
one
you?
word, is it?
I'm not. I'm looking up how many letters are in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Lost Rings.
Okay, Iron Man. Is that one word?
No. That
No.
would be
Okay,
2
I
words.
lose.
Okay. Zach,
Question.
there's still
please.
3 out there.
What is
Which
the question?
3 MCU movies have only 1 word in the title?
Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Ant-Man.
Yep.
And Iron Man.
No. We just went over that. That's 2 words.
All right, I'll take my 2 points.
But
The
Ant-Man is one? Nice.
yeah, Ant-Man has a dash, so it's considered 1.
Nice.
The one you guys, neither of you got was Eternals. There's no the before it. It's just
Wait
Oh.
a sec. Wait a second.
It's called
Avengers
Eternals.
is Marvel's The Avengers, but Eternals is Marvel's Eternals?
Nope, it's not. It's just Eternals.
Oh, we were just
and it's
talking
the
about that one.
Avengers.
The only
isn't it?
reason Avengers is Marvel's The Avengers is because there was another Avengers movie called The Avengers. So they added Marvel's The
with
Avengers.
Uma Thurman.
Yeah.
I
That-
saw that in the theater.
that nobody liked.
I liked it.
All right. What are we on? Zach,
Yeah.
how many MCU movies have a colon in the title? Closest to the pin. I don't want to know the
Yeah.
movies. I just want a number.
16 of them do.
All right. Evely?
16. I'm gonna go 5.
One of us is very wrong.
Sure.
Probably me.
The answer is 11. So
Okay. I was 5 off. She was
Zach
6
was
off.
5 off.
Yeah.
Evely was 6 off. So Zach takes it by 1
So both of us were very wrong.
for sure. All right, Evely, ready? True
Yes.
or false? Every MCU film is rated PG-13. All 28 of them are rated PG-13.
True.
That is true.
That is a wild fact.
It's true.
Isn't that interesting?
I don't know if it's interesting, but it is true.
That is interesting. Okay, great.
All right, Zach. 5 more questions left. We're in the home stretch.
Okay.
Despite 21 nominations to date, only one MCU film has won an Academy Award. What movie?
I don't know. And so I'll say without knowing,
Mm-hmm.
I will say Black Panther.
That is correct. For bonus,
Nice.
what were the categories?
Did
Oh,
it-
by the
did
way,
it won?
they won 3 of them. So what are the categories?
The categories were Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Hair and Makeup.
No. Evely, for the steal. It's any other category other than the one Zach just said, for sure.
Okay. I'm gonna go visual effects. I don't know if that's
Makes
a
sense.
category.
That makes sense.
And I don't know the categories. Costuming, that might be the same as what you just said.
International
and-
Short Film.
Short film. Not that one.
Animated.
And like sound, maybe like sound design. I don't know if that's or like music.
What are you going with? Sound design or music?
Are they both real
Those are
categories?
separate categories. Those are real
Oh, they are.
categories. They're separate categories.
I'm gonna go sound design.
All right. You got one. It was costume design you got. But it also won original score. So if you'd gone with music, you'd have gotten that one. And production design, which is like general look. Oddly enough, not a single Marvel movie has won a visual effects Oscar. Doesn't make sense to me.
Maybe
Step it
the creepy cape will get it.
Sure.
Demon
Maybe.
cape.
Evely, what's the average Rotten Tomatoes critic score percentage for all 28 MCU movies combined?
James, is this original research on your part?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I went and got this, but somebody else did the calculation.
Okay.
You're really stretching my my knowledge of these films with this.
Hey, you're the
trivia.
expert, not me.
She
all right?
was studying this
on
earlier.
the movies, but not, I don't. Half of this stuff is so.
No. Look at her notebook. It's
me.
all this information.
So, like, it's got to be a
No,
number
my little
between
infant.
1 and 100 because it's a percentage. So if you
I'm
took
gonna
all
go
28
with
movies, you combine them and then averaged it, what would the number be?
82.
82%. Zach, it's closest to the pin.
82's good. 82's good. 82's real good. I'll say 83.
Zach says 83. The real number, 81.84. 84.
0.16 off. See, this is why
0.16 off.
you know she studied this. This is absolutely what she was doing last night. 100% she was adding those up herself.
I was.
All right, Zach, what's the average Rotten Tomatoes audience score percentage for all 28
91.
MCU films?
91.23.
Zach says 91. It's closest to the pin.
91.23.
91.23.
Yeah.
This
Evely?
is definitely what I was answering last time.
Okay.
So
So you're going to stick with 82?
No. I'm going to go 88.0.
88. The percentage is 81.88. There's only 0.04 difference between the critics average and the audience average when
Wow.
it comes to
My-
tomato meters.
And critics liked it better.
Critics liked
Yeah.
it better by 0.04.
Wow.
So yes.
That's interesting.
So Evely
Fascinating.
takes that one. Evely. Most MCU movies are distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures, with the well-known exception of the MCU Spider-Man movies, which are distributed by Sony. But 5 other MCU movies were not distributed by Disney. Name those movies.
Iron Man, The
Yes.
Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Captain America, Thor.
There's a movie called Captain America.
Oh, the first Avenger. The first Avenger.
That is correct.
Nice.
All right, Zach.
Yeah.
For bonus points, name the studio that released Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, the first Avenger.
Okay. This is a great question because this question takes actual knowledge of which I do not have.
Right.
So, was this released by Marvel Studios instead of Disney? I'm going to say yes.
It's not the release studio, it's the distribution studio.
I'm going to say
You're gonna
they
stick with your answer.
I'm going to say that they distributed it. Yes.
Okay, that's incorrect. Evely?
Clearly.
I don't know why Paramount is coming to mind, so that's my answer.
It was Paramount.
Whoa. Oh.
You do
wow.
rewatch them. That's the only
I
way
was
you
going to
really
say
know that.
that has to be it. I've just absorbed that from
Right.
watching the films. I have watched the first Captain America film many a time.
All right, Zach. This is your last question, Zach.
Okay.
Which MCU actor has played his or her character the longest? Which MCU actor has played his or her character the longest? I'm looking for an actor or actress's name.
It's got to be, if I were to add them all up, I would say Robert Downey Jr.
You say Robert Downey Jr.
I would say
That's incorrect.
Okay.
Evely?
John Favreau.
Also incorrect. The answer was Patrick Stewart has been playing Professor X since 2000.
And now he's in the MCU.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
I
Spoiler
was feeling
alert.
really good about my answer.
It was a good answer, but unfortunately incorrect. Okay, this is a tiebreaker just in case you guys have the exact same amount of points, which is actually possible in looking at this. We'll see. So this is going to be closer to the pin if we need it. How many days have passed between the release of Iron Man on May 2nd, 2008 and today, May 8th, 2022? How many days have passed in 14 years, roughly?
Who
Who wants to
answers
go first?
Zach wants to go first because
Zach
he's a
wants to go
gentleman.
first. All right, Zach.
Wants to give me more time.
The guest
All right.
has chosen you to go
Sure.
first.
Best guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say 4,300 days.
4,300 days.
4,400 days.
All right, 4,400 days. Evely?
I'm going to say 4,855 days.
4,855 days.
I have no idea where that lands with the math because I tried in my mind and I couldn't do it. So
All right, I'm not going to tell you unless you tie.
Okay. Great.
So-
Yes.
awesome.
Please.
The trivia is over. I will now score you guys,
Okay.
and you guys can vamp for 10 seconds.
Emily, how do you think you did?
I think
You
you got
nervous?
me. Yeah. I think you beat me.
I had you at first, but I think you caught up and I think you beat me.
I'm not sure. And if we came to the tiebreaker, I trust your math skills more than my own.
I did rough. If anything, I undercounted. And so since you went higher than me, you have a really good shot at that.
Okay, I have the scores.
All right.
I will say that we did not need the tiebreaker. The answer was 5,119 days, which means Evely would have gotten the
would have
point.
gotten it. Yeah.
And the final score was Zach 16 points and Evely 18 points. So you beat
Well
him by
done.
2.
Well,
he had an early lead on you because he had like 5-6 points in like one question,
Yeah.
but you did that twice. You had like a series where you cleared the board. So
Yay. I feel like I need to win only because you always very kindly introduce me as like our resident MCU expert. And if
Yeah.
I will lose all credibility if I don't
Sure.
win the trivia. So
yep. You don't want to lose all
That's-
credibility. This is
I
very
don't.
serious.
It's very
business here.
important.
Because
I
it's very
take it
hard
very
to-
seriously.
It's hard to
on
get it
my
back.
LinkedIn. Like I have you all quoted. It's
Yeah.
a really big deal. to
That could
me,
end in a
so,
moment.
Yeah. So
For
One
sure.
bad score. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast, Evely.
thank you for having me. This is really fun. It's been a long, long time.
For sure.
Yeah.
We'll have to do it. What's the next move? Oh, the next movie is like next month or something like that. The new Thor movie comes out.
Oh, yeah. I saw the trailer
yeah.
for the first time before this movie.
Thoughts on the new Thor movie, Evely? Excited? You're excited for all of them.
Of course I am.
Okay.
Of course I am. But it looks really fun. I'm excited for it. And I'm really excited for the mythology stuff they're doing.
Yeah.
Not giving too much away.
What does that mean?
Thor
I don't-
is like a mythological guy.
Well, no, but
Odin.
yeah, they're also doing I don't know how much of a part, how big of a part it will play. It'll probably be like right at the beginning and then be over. But they're visiting like Olympus, like they're bringing in Greek mythology.
Oh,
there was like a
really?
very short scene in the trailer where Zeus catches a lightning bolt or something like that.
Nice.
I'm
Okay, that's
excited
fun.
for that.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
So
Yeah. I just want
Super
another
excited.
Taika Waititi Thor movie because I really liked Ragnarok. For sure.
yeah, same.
Better than Dark World. It was a good change up for me. sure.
Bold take, James.
Will you guys be on board for another Doctor Strange movie directed by Raimi? Or I know Evely probably will, but Zach, are you out? If
No, I'll definitely see it. There was things in this movie that I was very happy to see.
Cool.
Yeah.
As long as Christine doesn't show up again, you'll be happy.
Did they not say her name a lot?
I did.
I don't remember.
They're like,
now-
remember who she is? Everyone remember?
When I rewatch it, I'm sure that's the only thing I will notice.
No, you'll be focused on the eyebrows. Trust me.
Nice. Well, thank you for listening to this episode 529 of the Cinereelists podcast. Don't forget, subscribe to us on YouTube, support us on Patreon, leave an Apple Podcast review, or send us an email to heyguys@cinereelists.com. You could also follow us on social media on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. You could also follow me on social media on Letterboxd or Twitter at YoJRB. Zach?
You can follow me on Twitter or Letterboxd at Shaubin.
Evely?
I'm on Twitter at Evely Nicole.
Nice.
And apparently on LinkedIn as an MCU expert.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week. I don't know what with. I have no clue. Normally we talk about that, but we didn't this week because we didn't know where Kyle was going to land and other things. So it'll be a surprise to us as much as it is to you. Maybe a little less to us than them. But anyway, we'll see you guys next week. Until then, keep it cinereal.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.